Hello, my lovely dark readers, and welcome back to The Dark Spine, our cosy little corner of the internet where we talk about books that stick with you. Now, when you hear the name Lisa Jewell, what do you think of? For me, I think of twisty, psychological thrillers, secrets buried in suburban streets, characters who are hiding something, and a creeping sense of dread as you turn each page. But today's book, oh friends, this is a different Lisa Jewell. It's not a thriller. There's no lurking killer in the shadows, no someone's watching you paranoia. Instead, it's a gentle, deeply emotional, character-driven story. Today, we're talking about the truth about Melody Browne. And while it's a step away from the genre I usually expect from Jewell, it was an absolute delight. Now, before we dive in, this is going to be a completely spoiler-free review. I'll tell you about the feeling of the book, the way the story unfolds, the elements I loved, and a few tiny quibbles, but I won't take away a single discovery from you, because in a book like this, discovery is everything. So, what is the truth about Melody Browne? It's the story of a woman in her early 30s who, as the book opens, is living a relatively quiet life. Melody Browne, a name that sounds perfectly ordinary until you realise it's been carefully constructed to hide a far less ordinary past. One night, she goes to a hypnotist show with a man she's recently met, and during the performance, something unexpected happens. She's triggered into a sudden rush of long-forgotten memories, memories she didn't even know she'd lost. Because here's the key thing. Melody can't remember anything from before the age of 9. Not a single thing. And this is where the book's tone becomes really interesting. If you've read any of Lisa Jewell's thrillers, you might expect this to spiral into some kind of dark, danger-filled race to uncover a terrible secret. But the truth about Melody Browne is softer, slower, more reflective. It's not about running from someone, it's about walking towards the truth. The novel is structured in such a way that we move between the present-day Melody, who's starting to piece together fragments of her past, and glimpses into her childhood as those memories resurface. There's mystery here, of course. We want to know why she lost those memories. We want to understand what happened, but there's no high-octane fear driving the plot. Instead, there's curiosity, a slow unfurling, that delicious anticipation you feel when you know you're about to understand someone in a way they've never understood themselves. The magic of this novel is that it's deeply character-driven. Melody is a fully realised person, not just a placeholder to move a plot along. Jewell spends time with her. We see her flaws, her hesitations, her kindnesses, and her guardedness. What I loved most was how real she felt. Melody isn't portrayed as perfect or overly glamorous or even particularly confident. She's relatable in the way she navigates relationships, in the way she reacts to people she's just met, and in the quiet, almost tentative way she begins to search for answers. Every new character we meet, from people who knew her as a child to complete strangers she encounters in her search, feels like they could step off the page and into real life. Jewell has such a gift for that. In her thrillers, those fully fleshed out side characters often serve as red herrings or misdirections, but here, in this novel, they serve as bridges, each one leading Melody a little closer to her truth. The structure is fascinating. We get alternating timelines, the adult Melody in the present, and the child she used to be as memories come flooding back. These flashbacks aren't dumped all at once. They're carefully placed, revealed at exactly the right moments to add context, to shift your understanding, or to make you reconsider something you thought you knew. It's like watching a photograph slowly develop in a dark room. First shadows, then shapes, and finally the full picture. By the end, you're not just learning the truth with melody, you're feeling it, and it's surprisingly emotional. So now, let's talk about the themes. Because, yeah, this is a mystery of sorts, but at its heart is about identity. About how much of who we are is shaped by where we come from, and what happens when that foundation is erased. But it's also about family, both the one we're born into and the one we build for ourselves. It's about forgiveness of others and of yourself. There's an undercurrent of resilience running through the story. Melody's life hasn't been easy. She's had to adapt, to survive, and to keep moving forward without the benefit of a fully remembered past. And when those memories return, she doesn't collapse. She absorbs them. She learns from them. She grows. It's uplifting in a quiet, understated way. The kind of book that leaves you with a warm ache in your chest rather than a racing heart. One of the most striking things for me was realising how different this felt from the Lisa Jewell I thought I knew. If you've read Then She Was Gone, None of This Is True, or The Family Upstairs, you know she can do dark, unsettling thrillers like nobody else. And those books have tight pacing, twists you don't see coming, and often a sense of danger lurking just beyond the page. And the truth about Melody Browne is the opposite. It's spacious, it breathes. It's not about shocking you, it's about inviting you into someone's life and letting you stay long enough to care. Honestly, I found it refreshing. Sometimes you don't need the adrenaline rush. Sometimes you want a book that feels like slipping into a conversation with an old friend, even as you're learning something new about them. Now let's address pacing, because if you go into this expecting a thriller, you might feel like the book starts slowly. And it does, but in the best possible way. It gives you space to settle in, to get comfortable with Melody's voice, to understand her rhythms. It's almost meditative in parts. As her memories start to return, the pace does pick up, but it never turns into a sprint. Jewell keeps it steady, letting you absorb each revelation before moving to the next. By the time you reach the final chapters, you realise she's been guiding you gently toward a place of closure, for both Melody and you as the reader. Now, I wasn't expecting to be as moved as I was. Thrillers often give you that sharp shock of emotion, fear, surprise, outrage, but this is a slow build to something much deeper. There were moments that made my throat tighten, not because of some grand tragic twist, but because of the small human details. The way a child notices something adults overlook, or the way a casual comment reveals a hidden wound. Lisa Jewell understands people. She understands that the most powerful emotional beats often come quietly, in between the big moments. Okay, you know I like to be honest even with books I love. There were a couple of things that, while they didn't ruin my enjoyment, I did notice them. First, because this is so character driven, some readers might wish for a bit more external tension. If you need constant cliffhangers to stay engaged, this might feel too gentle. Second, there are moments where the supporting cast almost outshines Melody. Not in a bad way, they're wonderfully written, but occasionally I found myself more curious about their stories. That said, both of these points really just speak to the book's richness. It's a world you want to linger in, even if the focus sometimes wanders. So, final verdict. The Truth About Melody Browne is a beautiful, tender, and ultimately a hopeful novel. It's a reminder that Lisa Jewell is not just a thriller writer, she's a storyteller. And she can tell a quiet, emotional story every bit as effectively as she can weave a tense, twisty one. And if you've only read her thrillers, I highly recommend giving this one a try. Go in knowing it's different. Let it take its time with you, and you might just find yourself as charmed and unexpectedly moved as I was. For me, this was an easy 5 stars. Not because it was perfect in every technical sense, but because it did exactly what it set out to do and left me thinking about melody long after I'd closed the book. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you read The Truth About Melody Browne? Did you enjoy seeing this softer side of Lisa Jewell? Or do you prefer her when she's in full throttle thriller mode? And if you haven't read it yet, are you tempted to try it now that you know it's more of a character study than a suspense novel? Let's talk in the comments. I always love hearing your perspectives. If you enjoyed this review, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to The Dark Spine for more in-depth book chats, and tap the bell icon so you never miss when I post something new. Until next time, keep your tea dark, your books darker, and your spine, well, you know. I'm Sarah, and this is The Dark Spine, and I'll see you in the next one.